Everyone to the third Community Coalition meeting. I know we have Preetha with us on the virtual, and then we might have a few others trickle in here and there and in person. So thank you all for coming tonight. We have some faces that have this is their third meeting, and then we have some new faces too. So really excited to have all of you. Just to give a little recap, this is the Apex Community Coalition. This is something that Val and I, the sustainability team for the town of Apex, inspired because we believe that community change really happens, right? So this is 100% community run. We are here to support you and bring you muffins, and I guess I am manning the lobby as well. This is what we do. We are multitasking. So with that, we will get started. I sent you all a little bit of an agenda today. Would it be worth it to go around the room and, I know you have your name tags now, but just like give a little shout out, maybe say one or two words. Does that sound all right? Yeah? Okay. So maybe your name and why you're here. What brought you here? At the very first meeting, we talked about our whys, and I've heard that you've done this a little bit in subcommittees as well, which I love. So the why is just basically, what draws you to sustainability, to resiliency, to the environment. And as we know in sustainability, or at least what we kind of preach all the time, is that most people think about sustainability as environment, which it is. It's very much environment. We're very passionate about that. But it's more than that, because sustainability, it's systemic, right? And so we talk about people, profit, planet, and of course, because we're Apex, we add the peak in there. People, profit, planet, peak, and that's what it's all about. So it's definitely the planet, but we're also interested in equity and economics. We're interested in social engagement, and so any one of it trickles into all the systems and all of our core values, right? That's at least what I believe. And so I'd love to hear your why, and whether you're repeating it or you're saying it for the first time. And I suppose I will get started as I'm rambling on. I'm Megan Pendell. I'm the sustainability coordinator for the town of Apex. Yesterday marked the 1-year anniversary in this role and in this program, so very excited. We made it, and we are pushing forward. And Val's with us too permanently as our sustainability specialist, so you'll be able to applaud her soon as well. And my why is about a 15-minute story, but to break it down, I care about people, profit, and planet, and that's really what it's about. My hometown is Apex, and this I've grown up here seeing, the forests become condos, and it's been an interesting experience, and it's amazing to watch your town thrive, but we also want to do it in a smart way, and that's what this is all about, for our future generations and for us today. So it's not just about sustaining the lifestyle, it's about thriving and taking it to the next level. So that's me.
Perfect. Thank you. So my name is Paul Safrit. I am the senior regional manager for a company called Covenant Solar Tech. So we're a residential and commercial solar installer. We also do roofing as well. I've been in the solar space almost 8 years, about 7.5 years. My background is very much rooted in sustainability and working with universities, with communities, with organizations, and with homeowners to look at alternative energy and production, sustainability as a whole. So that's a little bit about it.
Pause really quickly. Sorry, you were great.
I'm Jensen.
But we have to speak up to the mic so that we can hear. So we're using like medium inside and outside voices. So just remember to speak up. Thank you.
I'm Bill Jensen. I've been interested in the environment since the 1960s. That's how old I am. Well, I'm a lot older. Doing recycling originally when they thought we were crazy. and just kind of flowed into this. I love all solar. Megan and I are working on solar for the town, and that's about it. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, I'm Jason Maynard. I've been in Apex all my life. My family's been in Apex all of their lives. I am interested in this committee because I have seen so much of the trees and wildlife go away during my lifetime. I've seen climate change happening in my own backyard because we're huge vegetable gardeners. Noticing that the frost date just bounces back and forth. It used to be April 15th. Now it could be, in the May, or it could be February, and it just bounces so far back and forth. And I just feel like the biodiversity of the whole area has been dropping. Hope that out.
Hi everyone, my name is Kaminard. I live in Apex, named Jacob. And I'm interested in this community coalition because climate change is here. We have to take care of it. It's going to affect public health. We have urbanization, increase in events are happening, and we are going to suffer. Environment is going to suffer. So we have to do something about it.
My name is Mary Jo Alexander. My husband and I have an environmental consulting company, and we've done a lot with organic recycled products, a lot of composting. So when I heard that they were working on maybe food recycling for composting, I thought that would be a good opportunity to give back to the community. So I wanted to get involved. We've been grew up in Pennsylvania, but we've been down here for 30 years, and we've seen a lot of growth. And as things keep getting paved upstream, we see the stormwater drainage getting worse and worse downstream. So we're kind of concerned about all development, stuff like that. So we thought it'd be a good community, a good organization to get involved with.
Betsy Sisley. I've been in Apex for about 10 years. So in 10 years time, I can't imagine a lifetime, but in 10 years time, I've seen a lot of what we've already heard here with the development. And I think for as long as I can remember, I remember being concerned about overdevelopment, changes to the environment, but concern wasn't action oriented. So I think I mentioned it before. This is me looking at our community and saying, okay, rather than worry, what can I do? So.
My name is Anthony Barnes Jr. I am here on behalf of Black Lives Matter Apex. I was actually brought here by Mrs. Lee. She came out to one of our protests or no, the Juneteenth event.
Yep. I saw you there.
Okay.
Both.
Oh yeah, and she brought this idea and what was going on in the town of Apex to my attention by myself and Morgan, my co-partner, and I'm just here to support and educate myself.
Hi, my name is Laura Holly, and why am I here? I care so much about the motto, actually, the people, profit, and planet. And we've got to take action to help our planet in order to help our people. And the planet is really here, to support wildlife, biodiversity, and humankind. And so I'd like that synergy to be rounded out and developed more.
I'm Laura Halsett. I've been here about 25 years. And I've seen a lot of other communities in the area have some really neat programs, and I've picked Megan to hear about some of those that I've been, love to see here in Apex. So that's why I'm here, is to try to have a better future for my kids so they can have grandkids and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah, Harvey Richmond. I retired from EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, 10 years ago, and I've dedicated a lot of my volunteer time to working on climate change with the Sierra Club on the Conservation Committee co-chair. I've been for years. I've been in the Triangle for 44 years, but I've been in Chapel Hill, Chatham County, Durham, 25 years in Cary, and now 3 years in Apex. So I think I'm done moving. And I want to help my grandkids are just a few minutes away, granddaughters. They're not in school age yet, but I'm worried about what the world's going to look like for them. I became an environmentalist like Bill, involved with recycling back in the 60s. High school senior, I was actually chair of our town's advisory committee and ran the first recycling that included steel cans in Europe.
Hi, I'm Mary Connell. I've been in Apex for 21 years now. And I guess my background was IT a long time ago, home with the kids, IT, physical therapy, home with the kids. And then I started doing all these volunteer things that kind of jived with the way I grew up with my grandmother, who was very old. We save everything, we reuse everything, we don't throw out a thread. It's in every aspect of my life, like between saving gas, I ride my bike. So now that my kids getting ready to go out, I'm looking at getting back into the traditional workforce. I started thinking about IT and physical therapy, and then I was thinking about all the things that I kind of feel more passionately about. And I've done pollination gardens, and I've done cleanup trails, done all these other things volunteer. So I thought this was nice because it was actually a little bit more organized. So I'm just trying to take it to the next level by being here with people who are in the know, people like-minded people who save streams.
I'm Bill Caraway. I've been in the Triangle 27 years and Apex for 20. I'm an Army bred. I've never lived anywhere in my life as long as I have been here in North Carolina in the Triangle. I know that growth is inevitable and there's nothing we can do to stop it. So my interest is making sure we do it smart. And I've made a lot of comments to a lot of people over the years about that. And I think this is a good little committee. Our little subcommittee had a great meeting last week, was that? Got to keep track. And so I think that there's good ideas coming out, ways that we can do things without always relying on government to do it. So.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I just joined Towards Zero Waste as the Apex Community Director, and that's how I learned about this group. So I'm excited to meet you all. Why do I have a passion for sustainability? That probably goes back to when I was a kid, but essentially when I was in college, I was going to focus on earth science, and then I changed schools. They didn't have an earth science program. So that's where my path diverged, and I'm trying to get back there because I look back and I regret that choice. So that's what's driving me.
Hello, everyone. I am Valeria. I am the sustainability specialist for the town of Apex.
I told them you were.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh. Yeah, no, I'm really, really thrilled to be working here, especially just with sustainability. And I'm really excited to get to know some of the community members who are just as passionate about sustainability as we are. And it's really great to have you guys here.
Now I know why you were at the front door.
Yes, now you know why I was the greeter.
That's right. I'm gonna popcorn over to Preetha. If you're with us, Preetha.
I am. So first, my name is Preetha Nayak, and the first thing I have to say is I've been put on 2 subcommittees, and I owe every person on these subcommittees a huge apology. I've been so MIA because my work life has taken over my life, and I have no spare time, and I haven't had it basically since May. So I plan on getting more involved. It's just a really bad time right now for the next month for me. But now that that's out of the way, I am actually very interested in as a specific concept, keeping things out of the landfill. My interest is really keeping the earth cooler, hopefully, literally cooler, and healthier for, plants, improving biodiversity or supporting biodiversity if we can't improve it. And, at a minimum, I would hope that we can just stop the bleeding. If we can't reverse the damage and if we can't make things better, at a minimum, I would hope that we can just stop the bleeding and not let things get worse from where we are right now. So That's about it. I don't feel like I have the right to say anything since I've been a no-show at my 2 meetings, but anyway.
I am happy that you're here now, Pete. That's totally fine. This is not meant to be something that's mandatory, or, you know, we come and go as we can, and just happy to have all of you that are here tonight. Colin, are you with us?
I am. Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Very good. Well, I'm gonna mirror Preeta because I've been in a similar boat. I'm the sustainability manager for Grub Properties. We have commercial and multifamily development and ownership and management, but nothing in Apex. But we've been expanding aggressively across the company, hopefully avoiding that sprawl and that overdevelopment that, you know, I also feel very strongly about. So I've only been in Apex about a year, been in the Triangle for 5 years. And I wanted to get involved, and now that I really feel like I'm putting roots down in a community, and similar also to Preeta about the subcommittees. I believe I joined the transportation one, and if we've had meetings, I apologize because I've not attended any so far. But otherwise, that's partially why I joined the transportation subcommittee, is I do have a background in energy and building, as you might imagine, for my work. But we've also been focusing a lot in our own work at Grub about helping get rid of single occupancy vehicles, because it causes a lot of problems for us, and we think it's a major issue that could further hold back a lot of our residents and tenants. So I kind of really got the bug, and I drank the Kool-Aid on transportation demand innovation. And I'm excited to see what we can do, since I feel like we have a lot of raw materials and resource and potential to work with in Apex, because it's not all fully built up and congested yet.
Thanks, Colin. Great to have you all. For the record, so also for our new Ps, we have 6 subcommittees, and I think I've sent a couple emails about this. I know that you all love my big old email chain. And one of them probably had a list of the subcommittees, which are education, energy, preservation, schools, sustainable mobility, and waste management. And so, Colin, you're referring to the sustainable mobility one. That is the one subcommittee that has not met yet. And so one thing we will do tonight, as you might have seen from the agenda, is receive updates from those who did have subcommittee meetings, and just check in about how those went and how they're going, and anything else that you might need from us or from the group collectively. But first, I have one announcement, and then I'll open the floor if there are any other announcements. My announcement is about Peak Fest, which is normally happens in the month of May, the first weekend. But of course, I feel like every sentence starts with because of COVID nowadays. It did not happen this May, but it is rescheduled for Saturday, September 11th this year. There will be a sustainability team booth that Val and I will have. We are partnering with the Tree Cap Committee. And then next West will have Hallie Cultural Arts Center and Bee City Committee and the Environmental Advisory Board. So we're gonna have a little team over there. If any of you are interested in contributing to ideas about what you would like to see at that sustainability program booth specifically, we are totally welcome for that. If any of you would like to come help us out, it's, I think, going to be a pretty big party that day of environmentalists in that corner. So you are more than welcome to come join us. I can always send out a sign-up sheet to see if anybody's interested in any specific times or officially volunteering. But yes, also very welcome to your ideas. Okay.
Can I make an announcement?
Absolutely.
All right, because I didn't do this on the way in. For fun, I built birdhouses, and I give birdhouses away, but you have to buy a post for them, which I sell for $12.50 because I buy them for $12.50. But if anybody wants them, they're different. I have them that are all brown, kind of boring part type, right?
I think they're great. They bring the most beautiful Carolina blues, so I would not say they're boring.
But anyhow, especially if you have grandkids, let me know. It's, my email's on the distribution list, billjensen@nc.rr.com. Let me know if you want it. And unfortunately, we're at the end of the breeding season, basically this year, so they're kind of going to be a garage item until you can put them out. The post, I just drive them into the ground. The ones we put in the park, they make us put in cement, which I'm getting too old to do. So if anybody wants to do that too, let me know. Anyhow, that's my announcement.
Thank you.
They're available.
I have a comment on what we were just talking with the Peak Fest. Because it's the town of Apex, are you able to bring in any vendors that, provide, compost now, or would that be, is that okay to promote them or not?
So we can promote. I wouldn't say that they could come and speak with us. It's just a little touchy because you have to sign up to be a vendor for Town of Apex for Peak Fest. However, we are planning an Earth Week fair similar to Peak Fest. It might not attract 22,000 people, but however, with the force of this room, I think that we can get a good turnout. So folks like Compost Now are certainly vendors that we will invite.
The Sierra Club has tabled there before, and we actually put in before the pandemic, the year before.
At Peak Fest?
For Peak Fest, so we never got to go, and they got our $10. We have not heard whether our price is accepted.
Interesting. Okay. I know that.
Not popular, just a separate table.
Okay. I think that they are still finalizing the list. That nothing is set in stone right now, so you'll probably hear soon. But yes, any literature or, interactive activities, swag items that you know about that we can give away, we are.
I mean, like, your solar company, is that, are we allowed to promote a business, or is that, a no-no?
So, one thing is Town of Apex, we are committed to zero waste operations goal now and have the budget for it, which is very exciting. So we will be contracting with Compost Now for that. And I think in that case, it would be appropriate, but I'm still learning the ropes as far as, the legalities, but I believe that we can't promote a specific organization or business, but we can promote another site that promotes those people. Does that make sense? Okay. Good questions. Any other comments or announcements? Leadership roles. All right, I'm excited because you all just dove right into this. The last meeting we spoke about whether or not leadership was even necessary, or if the coalition wanted it, and we put a poll out there and we got a few signups. So this is certainly something that we hope to vote on. So we're not going to be voting tonight, especially because not everybody's here who wants to be involved in the coalition. So you'll receive another sort of doodle poll, Google form survey type from me with the official option to vote for your position and your person, and probably we'll have a deadline. So just look out for that officially after this meeting. But I will announce what we have as far as positions go. So for secretary, we have Kirby Lee signed up, who has been here for the first two meetings, but not tonight, but you will meet him, I'm sure. So Kirby Lee is the one and only for secretary. We, of course, will vote him in and or have the option to nominate somebody else and vote for them as well. But yes, Kirby is on for secretary. And then we have Paul here and Bill signed up for our event coordinator position. Of course, we don't really have events yet, right? But that will be in place as we work with the education committee and maybe even thinking about Peak Fest and the Earth Week events. So there will definitely be a point and a purpose for all of these positions. And they're very much appreciated. Paul also signed up for social media manager. Not sure what that's going to entail yet. Val and I have been looking into social media ourselves for the sustainability program. It's quite the endeavor, especially for two people. And so we are planning on, I have to interrupt to say hello, Mayor Gilbert. Welcome in. Thank you for coming. And so that's an option for you all too, is to create something like a Facebook group where you can check in and really don't have to manage it, but have the opportunity. I think it's a private group, right? So
I want to say that we could make a private Facebook group that like people could be invited to, but it would still be kind of like not intimate necessarily, but you know, just like not super public, just so.
Still moderated.
Yeah, still moderated, just
Yes.
posting about subcommittee meetings or events or questions. So, yeah.
yes, so options for a social media manager. And then lastly, for our chair role, we have 2 signups. We have with us tonight, Betsy and Phil. And what we are going to do is,
Get out.
nothing's being decided tonight, so don't worry. I am going to receive official statements from both of our candidates and then add those to the survey. So you'll be able to take your time and read through those and officially vote. And then at our next meeting, we will announce. But with that, I'd like to provide just an optional platform if either Betsy or Bill would like to speak. No pressure, but want to give you the option if you do.
Well, when I saw you had the 2 of us as finalists, it occurred to me that, and Betsy has not spoken to me about this, that maybe a co-chairman would work. And it could be something shared, you know, where 2 people would take that role.
Yeah.
I put you on the spot there.
Yeah,
But anyway.
There was an idea of the Surrey Club having an executive board, and we either had co-chairs or a chair and vice chair, so that if the chair's not out on travel or something, there's always someone there usually.
Right. Yeah, that's
Just a thought.
well. You know, as I always say, this is all up to you all. So if that's the decision, so we can potentially vote on a chair and then have an assistant or a co-chair from there. Any thoughts on that, everybody?
You just put a third vote in there and say, you know, vote for one, vote for the other, or vote for
Vote for
both.
all.
Yes, vote for
That's co-chairs.
yes.
Great ideas.
Betsy hasn't commented if she likes that.
Idea. I love the idea of just, you know, and also maybe can we add a line for, I mean, we have a few new people that have joined us for the first time, some great experience. I'm sure you're pretty busy with your other role, not calling you out like I got called out last time. But I would certainly want everyone, if you're going to be an active member, to also have an opportunity.
Absolutely. With that said, would you like another opportunity to one more time put your name in the hat and then we do an official vote? Or would you like that just to be an optional line for nominations? Anybody remote have any thoughts?
This is Colin. I love co-chair. I'm not nominating myself, but I love the position of co-chairs. My most successful initiatives and volunteering that I've ever done, it's always been a co-chair structure. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Great, thanks, Colin.
I just figured I'd say that 2 heads are better than 1 in my opinion. So that's just my little 2 cents, but.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, I love the way you all think. So I will send out an official poll for voting and give all 3 options. And also the option if anybody else wants to put their name. Sound good? Okay. Any other last comments on leadership or voting? Okay. Subcommittee updates. I'm so excited to hear what you all have been talking about. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm really just going in alphabetical order from here. So we can start with education. Whoever was at the education meeting or was nominated as the speaker.
Actually, we haven't yet had the education subcommittee meeting. We're
That's
gonna do
right.
that
Sunday? It's Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
No question.
Great. Okay, well, great. So we'll hear from education next time, along with potentially sustainable mobility. So then moving right along, energy.
So we met on Monday, virtually. You want me to just kind of chop through the list?
Yeah, it could be how, whatever you all want to make it, as detailed or as general as you like, and properly inform the group, the coalition, about what this trajectory is.
Yeah, that's perfect. Harvey, Mary, Bill, and I, like I said, met on Monday for an hour and a half or so. I had a great conversation. The committee name that we just titled it the Clean Energy Committee, or the Energy Committee. The definition we came up with was to promote clean energy production and conservation through advocacy and action throughout the entire Apex community. So we thought the two sort of biggest takeaways are, when you think about energy, are not only production, right, but also reduction. So conserving energy and advocating for people's usage to go down. Sort of like what we talked about, I think, the last meeting. My analogy has always been, you've got to work out and eat right. You've got to do it in both ways to be cost effective. And then the second part of that is to include the Apex community as a whole, right? To not be just businesses or larger organizations, but give a voice to individual homeowners and nonprofits and just the organization or the community as a whole. We've got a lot of varied goals. I think we came up with a lot of cool stuff to explore community solar and the opportunity for that, as well as canopies, solar canopies or carports. Those are really exciting. But then from a much smaller and more practical level, to help advocate ways to reduce energy usage. We talked a lot about Duke Energy has a program where they will help homeowners at no cost reduce their usage. Have somebody come out and do an analysis of, an older home that was built in the 60s or the 70s, and give them free information and connection on how to reduce their usage. So we thought a program like that might be helpful. We talked about that. Those are sort of some goals, projects. We really included, advocating and connecting with other clean energy initiatives. We're in the process of setting up a folder, so an online folder that we can share with the group, where we have all the information, that we've gathered, through our sustainable journey. Letters to town council members, news outlets, helping find organizations for advocacy. And then we also talked about in connecting with the education program, the education committee, how we can help empower people at the high school, middle school, and elementary level to explore, solar as a technology and as a career and as kind of the things that they provide in that renewable sector. So that was sort of a summary from what we talked about. If the three of you guys or anybody else on the committee want to add anything.
Thank you. I just had one footnote. Yesterday, the Climate Environmental Management Commission approved a petition by Southern Environmental Law Center that will start the regulatory process at the Department of Environmental Quality, but not regulate greenhouse gases. That is Virginia to Maine, or 11 states, Virginia. So that's the only public comment period. It's just the beginning of the process. It move forward. So maybe you deal with the energy sector, so cap and trade kind of thing, or the powers.
Can you send information about that on the group?
I'll send it to Megan and then.
That sounds great. Thank you. So we can publicly comment.
So it will just begin. The department now has the ball and will be carrying it forward in development rates. They're not committed to adopting a rate, but that's how the reporting side.
Great. This is more of a process or procedural question, or what the group thinks. It's for us to decide, right? So as we're giving our subcommittee updates more in early stages, and the ideas are forming, as a group, are we going to interject if we're not a part of a subcommittee and build on ideas, or is like, go to the subcommittee if you want to be a part of the idea making of the group? Does that make sense?
I think open either way. I would suggest, like if somebody has a random thought, like when the subcommittee facilitator or leader is giving their report and, oh, something clicks, it reminds me of X program or whatever, then just to throw it out there on the fly and keep it simple. But if somebody has a more greater level of commitment to a particular program or concept, then maybe they could be ad hoc members or something just specific to the project initiative.
I think some of the committees will kind of meld together on some projects. Like the education, I think, will kind of probably touch every other committee. So I think there will be some merging.
And it's flexible, we can kind of figure it out as we go.
Right.
And yeah, change as needed. Great, yes.
I was saying it would facilitate once the groups have a coordinator or chair, whatever they're being called, to have you send that out with your email to us so that if someone has an idea or issue and they're not part of it, they can then send it to the facilitator and then share it with the rest of the committee.
Or is there a website for the group or anything that you can get that information?
We have the Google Drive.
Okay.
So I'll make sure if you're not on the Google Drive, just come up to me after the meeting and I'll make sure that you get on it. That is a space where you can share documents and organize your folders in your subcommittees of the entire coalition. Another option for communication is a platform like Slack, for example. That's a nice collaborative space that I've used before that will allow there to be groups and then maybe a little bit more of a flexible communication versus email. So totally up to you. I'd be happy to set up that account, but that could also be an opportunity.
I'm showing my age again. The Google Drive,
Yeah.
is that different than the Doodle thing that our subcommittee's using?
Yes. Doodle's all the things for scheduling a meeting. Google Drive, everyone who has a Gmail account has access to Google Drive. And having access to the folder, though, requires permission or sharing. But it's free.
Yes.
Create folders and subfolders.
Yes, and you don't necessarily have to have a Gmail. But again, yeah, if I'm happy to navigate through the drive and how to access it and everything and make sure that you have access. So please do come up to me after the meeting and make sure that you have access because we have 7 folders already. So.
I mean, I have Google Drive. Can you resend out our specific part of the Google Drive?
I'll do that, and in our follow-up, when I send the recording of this meeting, I will also link the Google Drive again. It's a good idea. Okay. I guess you can see the drive, can't you? I was sharing the screen. Okay. Well, on that, I believe we are on to preservation here, and whoever would like to get started.
Yeah, I'm representing the Preservation Committee. Our members include Mary Jo, Laura, Bill, Betsy, Veronica, Aretha, Nicole, and myself. And we met last week, 7th, and came up with a lot of really good ideas. Some of those ideas we're going to try to get to first because they're more of a something that we can get through a little bit quicker. One of those is pollinator gardens. We'd like to hit the areas that seem to be vacant in the town or the verges, which are the areas between like the sidewalk and the curb and see if we can distribute pollinator seeds that are native to the area. Another nice project that we came up with was to work with the neighborhoods in the area and set up a competition between them where we'll set parameters of what type of gardens and yards we'd like to see as far as biodiversity and trees and whatnot, and see if we can set up a challenge that we can judge them on to see who can actually win. Some of the longer goals that we're looking at are things like rainwater rewards programs, rooftop gardens, and helping reduce pesticides in lawns and gardens, as well as a compost donation, and we can do that for some of these projects. That's about it. Does any other thoughts that I haven't touched, guys?
You talk about community gardens, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the community gardens. I might have skipped over that. That was one of the other things we'd like to do, community gardens, both types, or either the type that is going to have people come out and they grow their own vegetables, and that's going to provide them a spot to grow. So for instance, if you're in an apartment, you don't have the land, then you come and rent that land and grow there, or the type that actually helps marginalized communities, grows food for them, and you can actually donate. And we've noticed that one of our special community gardens in the town is getting ready to have to move because this land is getting sold. So we're going to try to partner with them and see if we can find a place for them.
I think one of the things we talked about that is a quick win type thing was maybe in spaces like in front of the chamber along the street there, plant wildflowers. And the fact that it's wildflowers are not deep growing that's going to harm anything, particularly if they're going to use that space for something different. And plus, we could also get volunteers and even nurseries and companies that might say, okay, we'll plant wildflowers here and let them put a little sign up, said they did it. So that was something viewed as kind of a quick win. And it would certainly look really nice if along the street in front of the chamber, you saw wildflowers instead of grass that doesn't want to grow that well because of the circumstance.
Sorry.
Did you all meet at Common Grounds?
It's fine.
I know. But you were across the street from the chamber.
You saw those best chocolates I got, didn't you? You were judging.
Now you didn't save me any. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas?
Hey, this is Colin. As soon as you said wildflowers, so it's kind of a question / comment. I imagine there's got to be some synergy or at least some note sharing with Bee City. Have you guys thought about that?
No, we haven't, but that's an excellent suggestion. Do you have a contact over there that we can talk to, or you would contact them?
No, but Megan, there's an actual like already connection with Apex has one, right?
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Apex is a Bee City as of late last year, and we do have the connections.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great idea, Colin. And on that note, Tree Cap, Tree Systems Advisory Panel, and Environmental Advisory Board could also be resources. All right. Schools. Any representatives for schools?
I'm here, but I wasn't supposed to be speaking. It's Vivian, myself, and Lee. We just got together, we started just throwing around some ideas to find out where our strengths are. We all seem to have some involvement with pollination. We wanted to go back to the schools with Wake County, I know from my own experience with the Garden of Olive Chapel, that there's all kinds of rules. So we wanted to go in and try to find the right person to talk to see if we can come back in, do some possible pollination garden. Also to ask about what they're recycling, if they have any recycling programs at the schools, composting, trying to close the trash cycle. Lee has a child at Olive Chapel, so I think he was gonna try to do some work there. I have kids at Apex Friendship, so I was gonna go there, as well as inquire about that solar grant, that NC Green solar grant. I sent them, I asked the principal, I have not heard back as of yet, but I'm also now contacting the grant people, because I don't know if it continues on past 5 or 6 years. I saw a blurb in it, I'm not sure if it got extended, so I'm waiting to hear back from them as well, because that involves fundraising for the school, so. It's money, so this program, sounds like a really good program. It's for educating students on solar, as well as career-wise, how it works, why it's good. And it's a program where the school, they actually get to use the solar itself. It's not meant to be an overall solar for the whole school, but it's for education and they get to use it as well. I wasn't going to be the speaker because I said I tend to get too wordy, so I ended there.
On that note, for NC Green Power, we actually welcomed an intern, a sustainability intern, about a month ago, who is working on that very thing. Yes,
Check it out.
We'll have to get connected about that. Yeah.
Is he from Apex Friendship?
He's a rising senior at Apex Friendship, and his whole internship is about solar for schools, and then hopefully schools for solar, leading up to that, and so that is his project, is beefing up those applications for the schools and basically serving it to them on a silver platter and saying, hey, this is all you have to do, and making sure that they check all the boxes.
Is he in the engineering program?
No, and he's more interested in policy and potentially.
And so you mentioned anything about groups, environmental groups, I know Key Club comes out and volunteers for stuff, but I was wondering if you have an environmental group. Oh, okay, cool.
Apex High School actually applied for this program last year and they were turned down, but it's a good thing that there's interest, and definitely is a learning experience so that we can strengthen their application for next time. Great, well, thank you for speaking. We have one more subcommittee for updates, and that is waste management.
And I'm speaking because Courtney is not here. And actually, one of our things would tie very well. So our big goals, we talked a lot about compost and reducing waste that way. And so we looked at it from 3 different areas. You know, getting individuals to compost is going to be a long-term, it's going to be a hard one to do. So we thought we'd start with maybe restaurants, grocery stores, talk to Compost Now, see if there was a, if they have a process for commercial, that's a lot more waste than what an individual household would be doing. And to be realistic, an individual household, if they don't care about the environment, they're not going to sit with their food trash for a week waiting for it to get picked up. So thought we'd start there. The other thing that we talked about was going to the schools, seeing if either between, most of the high schools have, an AP environmental science class, and there's an environmental club, seeing if we could get schools to run sort of a program where, that's part of the coursework, is they're teaching them about composting in the clubs, and they can, go to the middle, like Apex Friendship has the different, they've got middle school, elementary school, have them, the high school students go pick up the food from the cafeteria and run a compost at the high school.
I forgot to also add to that as well, but we were also talking about getting back in touch with the people from the tour, from NC State. So NC State is a really good resource because they do all that for the university. So they had to do their own study to find out, where I have, so it might transfer over to the high school, middle school as well. I have some content for that.
Yeah, I mean, so I was supposed to do this after our meeting and I had swamped with work, so I haven't done it yet. But I was gonna contact the high school, the teachers and, you know, try to get one of the students. I was hoping to kind of push the idea on them and then let them kind of organize it at the school. And I haven't done that yet, so maybe we should talk so we're not duplicating our efforts and bombarding them and they're like, we're just annoyed with them because we're getting emails from all different sides. So that was kind of where we were going with compost. And Mary Jo, if I forgot something, please add in. And then the other area, and this is one that's I'm passionate about, is I love the program Green to Go in Durham. And I know that it's a commercial program in Durham, but I know that there are other communities where it is not. It's basically you bring your own to-go container and you exchange it at a restaurant. And especially because of COVID, I mean, I know we have stacks of to-go containers that we just, you know, use in our house as containers at this point, but I would love to not have those. And so with Green to Go, you know, the restaurant puts it and you reuse it at another restaurant. And so I'd like to see something like that in Apex. So that's one of our other long-term ideas. And we also just talked about trying to partner with some of the other communities around that are a little bit further ahead of us, like I think Durham and Orange County or Chapelville area, and even Holly Springs or that they seem to be a little bit further on having some programs and just talking to people in those communities so that we can sort of jumpstart instead of, you know, we'll learn from their mistakes, learn what's a worthwhile area to focus on.
One comment for both of you for schools and waste. I just learned recently of a local organization called Every Trade Counts. Have you are you
Yeah, that was on my notes too, was to
Okay.
look into that one as well.
Yeah, they work with schools to reduce the waste and offer composting. So.
Wow, you all are diving in. I love this. Any other comments or questions about that, the waste subcommittee or subcommittees in general?
We have one. So when we are going to plan our projects, we will need to have funding. Are we going to be able to get some advice or some information and resources? How do we start fundraising? I never done it. I want to get into it, I want to learn it, but it's going to take some time to get into it.
Absolutely. That's a really good question. And that's where the other P comes in, right? Profit. So we can definitely provide some fundraising resources. And I think, you know, a huge part of this is probably grant programs as well. So people with experience applying for grants. And this also might be where this coalition outsources, right? And specifically looks like for somebody who's a stakeholder in Apex who would be willing to devote some time to something that's a little bit more specific. And then also reassessing the leadership roles, right? And if we need another role like a treasurer or somebody who specifically focuses on fundraising and grants. So we can certainly provide resources for that and continue thinking and even pull together I guess a skill set, you know, database of who has connections or who has experience doing what. And so, hey, welcome, Vivian. And so that's a good question. Yeah. Does anybody else have ideas about that?
In terms of waste management, I just was thinking, Wake County landfills, they have a tipping fee that's really low. Somehow, if you could push the town or the county commissioners or something, raise that tipping fee. If you raise the tipping fee, then you're going to get a lot of that recycling, but more stuff, I believe. Anyhow, just a thought.
People tend to react more if it's in the wallet.
Yeah, and that has to do with larger companies and stuff. I mean, I'll tell you, I don't want to admit it, but we added to our house a little bit. My wife wanted it, and I'm still married. So, there was 4 of those big bins of trash. And I became a dumpster diver, going in there and taking out 2x12s that were 10 feet long that they were just gonna throw away. And it was, I was walking around in circles after doing the recycling, Harvey. It just killed me. So, and I'm sure it's the tipping fee that has to do with a lot of that.
I'm sorry, I don't have the context. What is the tipping?
I'm sorry, the tipping fee is what they charge to dump so many by the ton, and there's kind of different levels of tipping fees, I believe. I'm not fully aware of what it, but the tipping fee is what you pay. You take your truck up there, I believe, they weigh it, you go dump it, they weigh your truck again. The difference is then you pay for that.
Well, I think even in, I've got relatives in Durham and in Orange County. They don't get, as a resident, they don't get to go to the dump free. They have to pay per load. I mean, it's great when you can go to the dump and dump their stuff for free, but maybe people would dump less if they had to pay, even if it's just a nominal $5 truckload, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the ramifications of that are, but.
I would caution is that people are incentivized to illegally dump it.
Okay.
Think out sort of.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Unintended consequences.
Yeah.
And again, we have to get the county, not the town level, because the county controls.
Right.
And they've upgraded, they spent a lot of money, I assume, upgraded one that's near Apex.
The recycling one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a lot.
Nice.
Lot there. I don't mind the recycling one because they use it. It's to take it to the dump. It just bothers the difference out of me. Anyhow, thank you.
Well, that's an excellent segue because our final agenda item is open discussion. So this is just the time and space for anybody and everybody to offer up a question or a new idea, new way of doing things, how to run the coalition, something new happening around the state or around Apex, anything at all.
One thing I would just add, if you, and it's part of my thing, if you can get as many kids, young people involved, and then when it comes to fundraising, it's better when they're asking than I think somebody from the town. I know I wasn't a kid actually, but when I went to the Sunrise Rotary Club on behalf of the school to ask for money, they were wonderful. They gave money for this, money for that. Individually, different businesses came up. They came out, they installed stuff, so I can't say enough good things about the Sunrise Rotary. It's just, you know, an idea. Kids, when it comes from kids, I think we're more willing to shell out.
Hi, I don't know if I can throw in a little bit here. I'm sorry I'm late. I have it on my my calendar as 7, so I apologize for my tardiness. I just wanted to throw in a little bit about, I believe that I can see that is Mary, maybe? Is that, hi, Mary. I spoke to the NC composting program, or I'm setting up like a conversation with them about maybe helping us infiltrate schools, and also contacted my old school and build an infrastructure so that we can start kind of an education PSA that is driven by the kids. So that and summer STEM, trying to get them involved to see if they want to use some of the teachers who need to come up with a project-based learning project, that if they want to take on our initiative. So I just wanted to say that. Does that make any sense? Okay.
It did, yes. Thank you, Vivian. It's great to have you here. Good addition to our school's conversation. I have a question.
I have a comment to the Energy Committee. Paul, I put up a document to your folder. This is about peer comparison to reduce energy use. So this was one of the documents I read for my semester break in the spring. There was a study where residents were compared with other same household residents on energy usage. And then they, every month or every second month, they received a report comparing, the same size of household had this amount of energy usage per month. And then those people who are not as good as in the report, they significantly use, like in the long term. Did you know about this?
It's like a game kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that would be a really good way to reduce energy use, as we know, the energy use is the highest greenhouse gas.
Yeah,
all around
the
the
Duke
world.
Energy bill in Cary, I was under Duke Energy in Cary, and that does come as part of your Duke Energy bill. Compared, where you stand compared to other houses near you, if you're similar.
Awesome. So they have that.
I have that with Duke, we're now under, that's like your company now too.
I'm not sure.
That's a good idea. They started in Apex. I haven't seen it. That's a great thought.
Yeah.
It Duke mails that out to us every month.
Yep.
And it compares you to the most efficient home and then to an average home in the area.
It worked on me. I ended up changing out my insulation. We got a new HVAC. This is when we lived in a 1960s house. It worked for me.
Yeah.
We were always beating the most efficient home until my wife got more ill. So now the level of cooling and stuff is a lot different. So we're still better than the average home, but we don't beat the most efficient.
Just another idea, and I don't know who does the billing and how they can translate things. Like when I have a solar bill, we have solar, it'll tell me how much emissions we've saved and how many trees we've saved. And it's kind of fun to see like, oh, I've saved 179 trees. So I don't know if it would translate it as you're reducing your energy to put it like, oh, you saved so many trees, or put in an actual number or a unit of what you've saved, what it translates to in everyday life.
So what percentage of Apex is on town of Apex versus Duke Energy?
Majority. Well, it's the whole, it's Apex, all of Apex.
There's a few islands.
There's some
Apex lights.
across all Chapel, our neighbors were on Duke, and we were on town of Apex, and I don't know if that's still the case or not.
Well, there's the case of the extraterritorial jurisdiction areas. But if you're an Apex resident, I believe you are part of the town of Apex Electric Utility.
Well, we're in Waterford Green and we're part of Apex and we're all on Duke.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, because I think it was Beckett Crossing they were getting Duke bills, and we were getting town of Apex. So the difference was outside of Chapel.
I think it was originally a lot of Duke, and then the Apex came in with the electric, and so, there was territorial guarding was what it was. So.
But if most people are on town of Apex, if that's, I don't know even where to begin to get them to try to add that to the bill.
It was part of town of Apex, when we go through maybe.
You can just go in there and edit the thing, right? Make everybody feel $0. Sure.
Yeah, I got you guys.
It's like Google.
Well, that sounds something like, to me, a presentation to town council that they would then approve and then would trickle to our amazing electric utility department. Actually, probably our finance department, they would add that to the bill.
I don't know if I can find my Duke bills, I may have trashed, but anyway, here, that's a Duke bill like that, if you can scan it and that example.
You want a sample
Of what
of
the
the comparison?
I had them, but I've been moved 3 years, and I think I got rid of all the controls.
I keep extra copies on me all the time. If you guys want to see what it is, but.
Wait.
So it looks like this. You're not a solar professional if you don't have examples, right? So these are the line graphs that he's talked about. And then basically on the left side, it's your usage, and underneath is all the months. What's cool is it also shows you the average temperature. So you can understand from like this is the middle of the summer, right? When it's the highest. And so the average is, 70 or 80 degrees, right? So But it's cool because it gives you action items. So like on here, and these change typically every month. So, you know, whatever month is May, right? It's saying, hey, remember to keep your system cool, and, you know, it's springtime now, so know that it's summer, right? And so these all come out electronically, and some people did get them mailed, but for the most part, they're, let me say, paper. So,
That was my other comment is, if for people who get it by mail, if we're gonna add 2 sheets of paper, then it's
it's
worth
a,
it.
yeah, that's a good point.
If they do, but I mean, we can't change that. If somebody's gonna get a mail, you know, if they're gonna have to send out more paper when they mail it. But I do know that Town Apex does have a nice little comparison online. Because I've actually never looked at the statement, but I do look at the little chart.
In my experience, the much wider majority of homeowners and business owners use their app or their website than do customers. So typically, like, a lot of people have paper copies like this, but I think in the most wider majority, a lot of APEC people are pretty tech savvy and have them paperless for the most part.
I will look up that, pinpoint the actual statistic of how many residents in Apex are with Apex Electric and versus 2.
And I guess finance would have, they would know how many people are getting a paper statement versus an electronic statement also, because we could look at that to see if it's worth it. Great ideas.
Any last little inklings?
One question I have is, what is the plan for downtown, Salem Street? Right now, we've got, you know, the restaurant area with the chairs and stuff out on the street, and where the parking spaces are we going to increase the size of those sidewalks and just take that off completely?
Are you on Facebook?
Yeah.
They sent out an entire thing. I think it came out today. The towns sent it out. I think if you go on Facebook and look up the town of Apex, and you might be able, or Jacques might be able to, they sent a whole plan. I spent an hour looking through it, didn't even get through the whole thing.
Oh, cool.
It's got pictures, graphs, all kinds of comparisons. I mean, anything you want to know is on there. And I think it came out today is when I looked at it.
Okay.
The downtown design plan, I'm attempting to pull it up. It is a large document.
It's really long.
But that's because it has a lot of good juicy stuff in it. And so the point is to revitalize and re-energize the downtown. And there are 3 aspects to that, which I'm struggling to remember. I know parking is one of them, revitalizing our alleyways, and ultimately just creating a space where people want to come and gather together. And so, and Mayor Gilbert might be able to expand on that, but I do know that the plan for those street spaces, specifically around the downtown street, is what we're seeing now. It was almost a test run to see how people liked it. And ultimately, we are going to knock out the parallel parking and expand the streetscape, hopefully put in some street trees and a living wall is one of our other projects.
That was my next question.
Yes, we were approved for a living wall pilot project. And we are hoping to work with the Public Art Committee and located downtown. So that's certainly the plan. And I believe that the plan is to initiate it in 2023.
Okay. And we still have, if I can answer this, yes, so we have a public hearing on August 3rd.
Yes.
I think there's 3 different designs, and some include eliminate all the parking spots. So we have to go on that.
I'll send you all a reminder about that public hearing as well. Question. Anybody else? Knock knock jokes? Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I mean, when we dreamed up this coalition, we had high hopes, but you all, you've made this happen, and it's really exciting because I truly believed, as much as, you know, Val and I are working on true change starts with the community, and it's up to you. I mean, that's who we're working for ultimately. So I'm very impressed and excited about how energized you all are, and passionate and involved. And so definitely want to keep up this momentum. And as always, if there's anything that you believe that Val and I could do to support you, to help, we are certainly flexible and happy to strategize ways that we can help. So with that, I will stop the recording, but please help yourself to those refreshments. I promise you, they will not come home with us.
The muffin is really good. There's no one else that ate them, and I think that someone else should.